What's up, guys? Barry Game here, back with some more Idle Heroes, and today we're going to be talking about a hero a lot of people have been asking for more information about, and that is our Therapist of Blood Betty. We're going to be showing you our best build that we personally like for this hero. There's a couple different ways to build her, so again, just keep that in mind when you watch this. There's an offensive version, there's a control version, there's a tanky version, there's a bunch of different versions to build this hero, and we're going to go over just that because she is pretty much the new hotness. Everybody wants a Therapist of Blood Betty on their account. However, there are a couple things you need before you really build this hero to get the best bang for your buck with this hero. So hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Hit that subscribe button. Let's jump right into it. Now, like I said, since she came out, she has really shaken up the meta as far as who you build on your account. Previously, if you wanted a hero to crowd control, there was really only one option besides kind of Lord of Fear Aspen, and that was Starwing Jara. Starwing Jara, however, needed an active skill. Her Star Stream ability was the thing that could lock down enemies. Of course, her Core of Origin could help as well, but again, it was whenever your allies got to use their attacks. And when you push far enough in a lot of PvE game modes, speed becomes the biggest issue, where the enemy team starts outspeeding you, and a lot of times you can simply have your entire team or most of your team die in round one before you even get to do a single thing. Combat. And now we have Therapist Blood Betty, who solves all of those issues, mainly due to her passive skill, Superfluous Oblation. When self has more than 100 energy, triggers Scarlet Therapy, which is her active skill. It of course only does a 40 to 60% of the original damage, but that part's not important. The important part is the fact that this has the ability to blood binding twine enemies for 2 rounds. And that's the biggest part of this. It twines with blood binding, are unable to release their base attacks, extra attacks, or counter attacks. At the end of each round, the inflictor bleeds the target, dealing damage for 2 rounds. So that's like really huge because it stops every type of attack essentially from a hero. There's still some, like, you know, Star Alchemist Holmes Young, or regular Holmes Young, can still throw the potions and do these chase attacks. I honestly think even we've seen in the past week, the newest hero, Lord of Sparkles, he can still do his chase attacks even when CC'd and twined and stuff, so that doesn't really affect it. But this is the biggest bonus here. However, you don't just immediately build Betty and hope for the best. Number one is you need to talk about what type of artifacts to run on this hero, because that's very important. Most people run some sort of energy artifact, and of course there's a couple different options. You can run a Demon Bell if you're really budget and you don't have much. I actually don't know if I have any more on here, but you can run a magic source, or of course you can run something like a Demon Bell and help feed energy. However, I will say that if you are running an artifact that feeds energy or is energy based, Elusive Mirror is hands down the best. And why is that? Well, number one, it gives her speed, gives her HP and energy. Those are all really cool. On top of that, they do give some all damage dealt to allies, control immunity to allies, all these different things, which are nice little bonuses. However, the best thing that happens is the synergy of Elusive Mirror with her passive skill, Superfluous Oblation. Why is that? Well, technically this reads at the end of each round, restores all allied by 15 energy, but it doesn't actually work that way. It actually gives the energy at the beginning of the next round. And what happens when you're already either at 85 energy or already at 100 energy? The first time either you take damage to gain energy or have an effect like this to give you energy, you are instantly going to proc this ability right here, which is why the mirror is so good. You've seen it a lot of times on our videos. We have 100 energy at the end of the round. It rolls over to the next round. She gets 15 additional energy right here from the Elusive Mirror, and she instantly uses her passive skill, which then tries to crowd control with her active skill. So that's why it can be hands down just the best option for it. Of course, going for like your maxed out gear and everything is important, but Elusive Mirror is like the way to go on this hero. Even here, there's a couple different ways you can run her. You can run her for speed, you can run her for damage, you can run her for tankiness. Is really flexible, this hero. And the same thing with her stones. You can either go with like a speed offensive mode, you can go with a pure HP tanky mode to make sure she survives the longest. Because remember, if you have this artifact on her, she's not going to be tanky, she's not going to have a crown, she's not going to have auspicious lucky cat, she's not going to have any of those things that are going to help keep your hero alive. You can also build like some offensive ones like crit attack for certain game modes that you want her to have a high crit chance. But again, if you're not going to run something like this, you're good to go with the golden crown. You're good to go with an auspicious lucky cat. Even a gilded purple fan isn't horrible. If you're building her offensively, you can always use melodic strings, and if you still have a Rui scepter laying around, it's not the worst thing in the world. However, you're gonna have to wait till she gains 50 energy to get that crowd control off, and that kind of is counterproductive to the whole point of her trying to CC the enemies before they get their abilities off. Now, the one place she is the most influential in is, of course, Void Campaign once the enemies get faster. Why is that? Because even if you have 50 energy or 100 energy at the beginning of battle, it cannot immediately trigger. It says at the beginning of each battle or when self is in battle as a substitute, it cannot be triggered. What has to happen, and a lot of times happens, is the enemy on the other side of the battlefield attacks you. Whenever you take a regular hit, you gain 10 damage. When you take a critical hit, I think it's 20 damage or 20 energy. So you take damage, you get 10 energy, and since you're already at 100 because of this, you then proc this right here. Now, all that's fine, swell and all. Of course, I usually build her super tanky, damage reduction, block chance, either control immunity or armor. Those are two really good ones if you're building her for pure tankiness. Of course, you're going to want to fully sublime her, and then there are some pretty unique things in Destiny Transition for her as well. Some of them are all damage kind of thing, but you can also reduce enemies' armor and precision if you're building her for some more support. You can reduce their damage reduction, their control immunity, a couple things like that. She has a nice mix of support things and damaging things depending on how you want to build her. Even ways, like I said, to give herself more energy to keep feeding that energy over and over. So keep that in mind. This hero is super flexible between tanky and HP oriented. But again, the best part about her is being able to crowd control the enemy. However, I've mentioned this before and I want to mention and make sure we talk about it again. Her core of origin is probably one of the most important cores per hero you will ever see. Now, why is that? That is because when she uses Scarlet Therapy or triggers it via her passive skill, she deals damage to all enemies that have Bloodbind Twine already on them. That's not really that important. However, it does also reduce their energy by 10, which is a nice little bonus, and a 50% chance to reduce them by an additional 10 energy. The most important part of this core of origin is the next sentence. Deals 150% attack damage to the rest of enemies with a 50% chance to blood binding twine them for 2 rounds. That's why when you see us get a passive off at the beginning of battle, you'll see like the initial wave of twining, which usually hits like 2, maybe 3 targets, and then you'll see a secondary effect that happens after all other effects happen based on that attack. That is when this comes in and actually has a better chance a lot of times to get it to go off. It's surprising. It's very, very powerful. This is pretty much what makes the hero who she is. And if you don't at least have a primary core for her, it's gonna feel not so great. You can even take a look over here. Even her primary still gives you another 25% chance. That can technically happen 2 times in a round because you get to 100 energy. You, of course, use the passive, do this, then use the active skill. This happens again. So you basically get like 4 attempts to CC someone in like every single round. And that's just why she has become such a strong hero in this game. So hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Let me know what you guys think. If you have any questions about Betty, leave them in the comments down below. I'll try to answer as many as possible. Or hopefully some helpful community members will help as well. Hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys next time.